Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stream. It's day 2 of our glorious 2-day weekender here at the Alliance Open at Van der Valk. We are once again live. Doing a stream I admittedly had not expected to do, but nonetheless very enjoyable. This is the Alliance Open Grand Tournament for Age of Sigmar. Round 4. We started with this yesterday. Yesterday we were streaming 40k, and today we're picking up where Age of Sigmar has left off. I'm joined today every now and then by my co-host Fabian. Why don't you have a seat, just real quick. Fabian, welcome to the stream.
Thank you.
How are you doing today, sir?
Doing pretty good.
Very well. All right.
Exciting weekend for Age of Sigmar in the Netherlands. So,
Yeah.
Having a lot of Englishmen over as well from the big ITC scene as well.
Yeah.
So,
Imagine. Yeah. No, very. Well, now I'm fiddling with the camera and it's just. There we go. That's better. So, yeah, we already had 3 rounds. Everything went smoothly.
yeah, just a couple rules hitch-ups, mostly with language barriers.
Yeah.
Which is a bit unfortunate, but no big deal to take care of. So
Yeah, we've got quite a lot of players for Age of Sigmar going on, right?
yeah, 40 players, which makes us the biggest Age of Sigmar tournament in the Netherlands to date.
Nice.
And we really hope we can keep that growing.
Yeah, for sure. Look, Age of Sigmar looks like a lot of fun. I'll be upfront about this. I know very little about Age of Sigmar. I've played, I think, about 4 games in total, but that was back a few editions back ago, even before the first army or the first General's Compendium is what it's called.
General's Handbook.
General's Handbook. There you go. So even before the first General's Handbook. So that was quite some time
It's
ago.
been 4 or 5 years ago, yeah.
Yeah. So has Age of Sigmar changed much since then?
It has changed dramatically, especially the last 2 years. It really went from a just play with your models hodgepodge to a really smooth, streamlined game. Every army has its tricks that can be played very well by the right player.
Yeah.
Whereas the older versions of Age of Sigmar will just do whatever you want. I believe the first edition of Age of Sigmar didn't even have points cost to their models, which just didn't make it work for match play.
Yeah.
But that has been reworked a lot over the last few years.
So it's a lot more compatible with like a tournament format.
Yeah.
So it's because it's much more structured.
Yeah, definitely.
Very cool. So well, we've got a game set up here today to jump right into it a little bit between Mitchell de Boer and Benjamin Sava. So just in a moment I'll get their information up into the top view screen and we can switch over. But can you explain to me and the viewers a bit about there are missions, I'm assuming. Can you explain to me how playing missions in Age of Sigmar works a bit? Like for instance, with 40k you have like a sort of primary mission, and then people get to pick. We were playing ITC yesterday. People get to pick some secondary missions. Is that the same way with?
Yeah, especially for this rule spec, I took a lot of inspiration from 40k ITC. So I just for every mission I picked a mission from the book, and then made a list of hidden agendas, which GW has so aptly called them. That the players can pick before their games, which they can try to score extra points with.
Okay.
So far we've found that it really helps balance things more. It gives overwhelming wins. It's just bigger wins. So the line is drawn even harder.
Yeah, so people, really being able to play to the missions can really do better. They score more points and they.
One of the few problems I find with Age of Sigmar is that hordes, for example, have a very big advantage because it's easy board control.
Yeah.
But with these hidden agendas, you can find ways with your elite army or with your wizard army or whatever to be able to score points nonetheless.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're not out of the game just by having a weird list or whatever.
So it essentially allows like all kinds of armies. Essentially, I imagine it's a bit like 40k. I'm going to draw parallels to 40k because that's what I know, right? But in 40k, you can also make like an army very tailored to a certain set of missions, and you can do that within the Age of Sigmar now as well with the hidden agendas. So as long as you play against those missions, you can do very well.
Yeah.
Very cool. So the players are setting up. Why don't we go over the lists then?
Yeah.
So I've got Mitchell's list here.
Yes.
I'm gonna let you take the helm on this one. I'll be listening in, but
so Mitchell's playing Cities of Sigmar Hammerhall, and he's
that's
playing,
new, right?
Yeah,
I know that one. I know that one.
It's a book with all the different stuff from the old dwarves, the old Free Guild, or the Empire as you may know them, the leftover elves and wood elves, and they all put it into one book, and it really allows for a ton of different playstyles, from shooty lists to cavalry. You're even able to play with just tanks, like 9 steam tanks, and that can be an entire list.
Great.
Yeah, so it allows for a lot of craziness.
Very cool.
Mitchell today is playing with Hammerhall in the Hammerhall Lancers Battalion.
Okay.
Which includes the Free Guild General and Griffin, and I believe all of his units of Demigryph Knights. 2 units of 3 Demigryph Knights, which have halberds, I believe, both of them. Or 1 unit of halberds.
Knights Lance.
Yeah, so 1 unit of halberds and 1 unit of lances. The halberds are really good to just hold a line, just stand there. All of the demigryphs have a 3-up save, so they're just going to be a line. They're going to be a tank. Where the lances are a bit more bursts of damage. When they charge, they get an additional 2 rend, and their damage becomes
additional
2.
damage, right?
Yeah.
Nice. It's got, and then he also has 2 units, big units of 6 Demigryph Knights.
Yeah.
With land. Oh no, 1 with halberds. So as you say again, like a line holder and like a line breaker unit. I imagine a knight with the lances, able to just storm in and do the damage where he wants it to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Some of his other units include Celestial Hurricanum.
I heard that thing's pretty good.
Yeah, it has a bubble to give +1 to hit rolls. It also does a ton of damage in the shooting phase, +1 mortal wounds, which will really rack up on a hero, because they don't specifically require a hit roll. So Lookout Sir doesn't work on it.
What's the range on it then?
18 inches.
Okay, so not very far.
No, but the thing also has a 10-inch movement speed.
So it's a threat range of 28.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it's kind of like a sniping unit.
Yeah.
Because I do know that characters, you can target whatever you want in Age of Sigmar, but I know that characters, as long as they're within a certain range of other units, they have minus bonuses to hit.
Yeah, if they're within 6 inches from the top of my head of a friendly unit that has 3 or more models, they get Lookout Sir, which gives them -1 to hit against missile weapons.
Interesting. All right.
So,
okay.
And for his last unit, he has a Knight Azeroth.
Yeah.
Which is just a really nice buffer unit. It doesn't do a lot of damage from the Stormcast book, which the Cities of Sigmar can draw from, up to a quarter of their army. And it has a bubble that you have hit rolls of 1 against all enemies within 10 inches of him.
Okay.
So almost all of his army will be hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s, rerolling hits and wounds. It's a really
sounds pretty good
to
me.
Yeah, it's really synergized.
Yeah. So it's also not a lot of models, although I imagine that like this is 18 Demigryph Knights charging at you. It sounds pretty scary, but I would probably be fair to say this is an elite army.
Yeah.
And he's got an analyst spell. The chronomatic cogs. Can you talk a little bit about them?
Yeah, the cogs have 2 possible effects. A wizard can cast them and then activate them, and that will either allow them to cast an extra spell and reroll save rolls until the next hero phase, or all models on the board, friend and foe, gain +2 move and +2 on their charge.
Okay.
So it will speed up those 12-inch movement speed Demigryph Knights even further.
Fabian, you want to do any announcement before this game starts? Should we just call start your round? Yeah?
Okay.
So he's just going to go in there, and yeah, he's going to go fast, and he's going to be able to maneuver a lot, which can be a huge advantage. But it's very elite, so capping objectives will be a bit harder.
Okay. Yeah. True. So, yeah, he's very elite, very hard hitting. Quite tough as well,
Yeah.
but less models means it's harder to be, everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not a horde. Okay, that's sounds like a very good army. So let's take a look then at Benjamin. Benjamin is bringing the Bonesplitterz. Okay.
Yeah, Bonesplitterz, which were a surprise for the book. Because at the first glance, when you look at the War Clans book, it doesn't look very interesting or very excitable.
Okay.
But then you go into the different synergies, especially with the spells, and it just becomes nasty.
Yeah.
You can turn a single unit into a murderous killing unit.
I do remember that in the very beginning of Age of Sigmar, when Bonesplitterz just came out, they also were really good because they had like big blobs of arrow boys,
Yeah.
and they would just shoot everything completely to oblivion.
Yeah.
Because they could shoot, and then they had a hero that could potentially make them shoot again.
Yeah, that was the Cunning Ruck battalion.
Yeah.
They have changed that to make the arrow boy unit in that battalion smaller. So
Okay.
the max unit size for that is 20 models now.
Okay.
Which has made quite a difference from 30.
Yeah.
Though Benjamin is not taking that battalion at all.
No.
He is taking a very close combat oriented list for this. He has taken 2 battalions. The first is a Brutal Ruck, which would include his Savage Big Boss,
Okay.
which will be his general.
Yes, he's got a right monster warlord trait or
Yeah,
general trait.
It's just -1 bravery, which translates to -1 leadership for you 40k players out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
It will also include the big unit of 30 Savage Orcs. They're not that great on their own. They do have 2 wounds each, so that is a 16-man unit.
All right, yeah, essentially, yeah.
Yeah, in melee they do have a 5-up save, but it just becomes so. It becomes a snowball rolling down a hill when things start going on the buffs, and they become unstoppable almost.
So what kind of buffs is this army able to put on them then?
Oh, all kinds. I believe there are 2 options to give +1 to save rolls. There's several options to give +1 to hit rolls. There is an option for +1 damage, though he did not bring that hero, which somewhat surprised me, to be fair.
Okay. Which hero is that?
That would be, from the top of my head, the Wargok Prophet,
Okay.
which uses the old model from fantasy,
The shaman, the prophet,
the
I
Great
know.
Green Prophet, which
which
is
turned his enemies into squigs.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's still such a beautiful model.
Sweet, yeah.
And he's being able to turn unmodified 6s to hit into 2 automatic hits instead of 1.
Okay.
Doing extra damage against monsters, though luckily for Mitchell he didn't bring a lot of monsters.
No.
Which Bonesplitterz are really good at taking out.
Yeah, because he's if we skip down the list, he's got 8 Savage Big Stabbers, and those are the 2-man units with the big spears, which really excel at taking down big targets.
Yeah, 3 attacks each, 3+3+, -2 rend, D3 damage, D6 against monsters.
Yeah. So yeah.
If you if you buff that unit with the +1 to hits, with the re-rolling hits,
Is that 1 unit of 8 then?
that's 1 unit of 8.
So it just makes eight models simultaneously. Yeah, you stack the buffs on them. I imagine that would be very good against the Demigryphs as well. I don't anyway. If he gets them
just
in.
because of flat damage. Like
Yeah.
even if you don't get the D6,
It's D3 damage still.
yeah, it's D3 damage, and Mitchell will really have to start charging
Yeah.
corners of units in order to keep the amount of piling at the base.
Exactly. Keep most of the models from piling in, but he also the Demigryphs also have the advantage of speed, I imagine, because they're just faster, so it's easier for him to get a charge off and maybe alpha strike them to a point where they're.
You say that, but there's a catch on that. He did with a brutal rock battalion. Everything in the battalion, as long as it's near the big boss from that battalion, it can run and charge. Almost all of his units have +2 to charge.
Oh, so they're movement 7 then, or movement 5,
Movement 5.
and then they can run d6,
Yeah.
and they get a +2 to charge.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah, and the big stabbers have that ability to run and charge innately,
Okay.
which makes them terrifying. Yeah.
And in Age of Sigmar, you can actually spend the CP to make them run flat 6 inches,
Yeah.
so you don't have to roll.
Yeah. Well, you can actually roll first.
Yeah, and then see if you get a 6,
Yeah.
and then if you don't like it, pay CP, and you still roll the 6.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, he's been setting up. I just noticed that the top camera needs to be turned on. So those are the lists. It's very interesting. It's very small and elite versus a more horde-based army. It's like one big unit of savage orcs, which he's probably gonna pile all the buffs on, I imagine, because it's just number of attacks, or maybe the big stabbers.
Yeah, those are the most likely.
But you were saying that he has multiple ways to give +1 to hit. So do those things stack? Could he throw them all in one unit, or?
Well, he does have, I believe, from the same spell.
Okay.
So he's unable to really stack them onto
Yeah.
the same thing.
But he could do +1 to hit to the Savage Oryx and charge them in, +1 to hit to the big stabbers, charge them in.
Yeah.
So he just has lots of ways to give multiple units buffs, throw them in, and deal big damage.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So I'm going to turn on the top camera. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
If you take like a piece of paper and have the players write down their hidden agendas, we'll put them in as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we'll go into the game.
Are the objectives supposed to be hidden or open?
Open, like we've played them the entire tournament.
Fucking sick army.
Yeah.
Fucking nice eyes.
So we're back here on the booth mic. So both players have received their mics.
Mix of my audio mixer.
Oh yeah, the booth mic. No, that's down there. No worries. Here's the booth mic. So it's working. Yeah. See this little icon? That means that the booth mic's working. I made that.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I love telling that because I made it. Anyway, so we've jotted down So let's get the names down. All right. So we've got Benjamin. Benjamin's the one with the cities of Sigmar, right?
Benjamin is the Oryx.
Oh, Oryx. Yeah. So he's the one with the Oryx. Then we've got Mitchell. Two L's.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Then he's the one with the
cities of Sigmar.
cities of Sigmar. Let's update. Doesn't quite fit. Let's see if I can make that fit. Well, we'll leave it for now. So, missions. So Benjamin has left mission Ancient Heirloom. So why don't you? I'll write them down. Why did you go over them and what they actually mean?
So Benjamin picked Ancient Heirlooms, which means that he has to keep a hero with an artifact alive. He picked Attrition, meaning that he has to kill 2/3 of Mitchell's army, which is quite doable for him because he has a lot of instant backing punches, especially in those big stabbers. And Mitchell doesn't have a whole lot of different units. So taking out 2 units of 3 of those demigriffs, for example, will already put him at a bit of a disadvantage. And he took defense, meaning that he has to keep Mitchell out of his deployment zone, which would also be rather doable.
Okay.
Mitchell, on the other hand, took seize, so he has to control more objectives than Benjamin. He took retake, which means that any objectives that Benjamin already has, he would have to retake them from him. So kill the unit that was holding them and grab it instead.
Yeah.
And slay. So each turn he will try to kill the unit, the hero with the most points value.
Okay. All right. And what's the mission of this round?
It's called Vocal Points, which is a bit of an odd one. Because the center one is always worth 2 points. Any other objective is worth 1 point, but if you have the objective across from the other one, then they become a total of 3 points.
Okay.
So you get 1 extra point basically for having both 2 objectives across from each other.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Just a sec while I just sharpen. All right.
For those interested, we are playing Vocal Points 2018, not 19, because 2018 allows for a much more open deployment and play of the game all across the board instead of the 2019 one, which would really kind of railway into the middle of the board. In a column, so the outer edges of the board would just be ignored.
Yeah.
So I felt that this was the better option to allow for more movements, for more playability.
Okay. Very good. So it's about the objectives. As you said, 2 of them are worth 2 points, if I heard correctly.
Yeah, the center one is worth 2 points.
2 points.
All the other ones are worth 1 point.
1 point.
But if you have the 2 objectives across from each other, you score an extra 1. So if you
that's why they're in a cross pattern.
Yeah.
I see. Oh, very interesting. So, they're going to fight a lot over the middle objective. They're going to meet in the middle. It looks like going to meet in the middle anyway.
Yeah.
It's now Benjamin started the game.
Yeah, which does mean that he won the roll-off for deployments because they both have only 3 drops. in their army.
Because with Age of Sigmar, if you take a battalion, or what's it called, a formation,
A battalion.
a battalion, you can deploy every unit in that battalion just deploys as if one unit, right?
Yeah. So you don't have to set them up separately, though you can do that, and you still retain the ability to deploy the remainder of the battalion at any point.
Yeah.
But
So if you might want to try to go, because is it with Age of Sigmar, is it that you deploy, you finish deploying first, do you then get to go first as well?
yeah, you can pick who goes first.
Okay. Well, that's very powerful.
Yeah.
So in general, it would be fair to say that people will aim to have as few drops as possible by putting things in battalions.
Yeah. It also somewhat depends on your playstyle. A shooty list might not.
Might not care. They actually
Might not.
want people
Yeah.
to. But then if they lose the war for having the option to decide who goes first, then the other player might get that option, and then they'll say, "Well, you go first."
Yeah, well, I think a lot of shooting armies will have taken care of that in the form of a teleportation spell, in the form of just regular movement, or artillery to hold the back line and just shoot things down with superior range. Even artillery can really, really hurt. So even if you don't get your regular guns within range, artillery can take out a single hero just sitting there,
Okay.
just by sheer force.
Yeah. So taking a look at what Benjamin is doing here, he's spreading out a lot. He's got those more boys in the on the left side, and he's got like a bit of a screen going on with 10 orcs in the front. I imagine they're there to catch the first blow.
Yeah, Mitchell really went for a fortress kind of formation here, and Benjamin has to play on that. Because he put the 2 units of 3 demigryphs up front to just screen their sacrificial lamb.
Those
in
are the
this
ones
case.
with the helmets, I imagine.
Yeah, well, 1 unit with helmets and 1 unit with lances, but those are his smallest units, so if he loses those, that would be the least of his worries.
Yeah.
Though, and if they get killed, then he can potentially move up and countercharge.
Yeah, so they're a bit of a bait as well then.
Yeah.
In that you could say that putting them out there in front is essentially putting them out there to die. But then they actually can take a bit of punishment because, as you said, the halberd ones have a 3-up save.
Yeah, they all have a 3-up
They all
save,
have
which
3-up save.
with 5 wounds, 3-up save, they are really, really durable.
5 wounds, yeah. That's 50 wounds in 1 unit.
Yeah.
And a unit of 3 is advantageous because you don't lose as many models, because bravery works with a number of models lost.
Yeah.
So I imagine that demigryphs have quite a decent bravery, like maybe 7 or 8.
Yeah, I believe their bravery is 7, though their banner does give +1, I believe. So that really does put them in a position where they don't have to worry about bravery very often.
Okay. So it looks like Benjamin is getting some charges off here.
Yeah.
First unit of 10 orcs going in.
Yeah, and he's really...
Just tagging him.
Yeah, he just barely locked the demigryph unit into combat, and then just flying them out to create a more advantageous screen for himself.
Yes. So he's locking the demigryphs, preventing them from moving around in his turn.
Yeah, because that's part of the sub-faction that Benjamin is playing with his Bonesplitterz, is the Bonesplitterz, which don't allow enemy units to retreat from them.
Oh, so they're now stuck.
Those are stuck until that combat is finished.
So then it's also the way he positioned the unit is very clever as well, because he just tagged 1 demigryph in each unit. So the other 2 might have some troubles, because in 40k it works that models in base contact with the enemy get to fight, and models within an inch of those front units. But here it's more based on each model separately. They have to come each within half an inch.
Different weapons have different reaches, so that can vary from 1 inch to 3 inch, and allowing for different forms of keeping your ranks. order to be able to attack.
Yeah.
Though with the way that Mitchell deployed and by really getting the corners on those Demigryph Knights, Benjamin has kind of stopped like from 2 Demigryphs per unit from attacking at least this battle round. So Mitchell's going to have to pile twice just to get
just to get them in there.
Yeah.
To say you get to pile in 3 inches.
Yeah.
So he's probably only 5. So the halberds, do they have any range?
They do have 2 inch range, but from what I could see that
I think 2 of them are getting in there. Looks like.
with a bit of lucky piling in or smart piling in, I should say, he could get a second in.
Yeah, so 2 are going to get to 5. So now the scoring of the objectives, is that done at the end of each player's turn or at the end of the battle round?
At the end of each player's turn.
So now Benjamin or Mitchell rather is moving his Demigryphs away from those objectives. So isn't he then the 9? Is it?
Benjamin took the first
That's his turn. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
So Mitchell can, during his turn, move his remaining Demigryphs or his heroes up to the objectives, grab them, and then move on into a flanking position. And that's something that Benjamin also really took care of with his big unit of Savage Orcs in the back, really keeping that, especially that general on Griffin, from just flanking him and taking out heroes in the back line.
Well, it's a very interesting positioning because now these units of 3 are locked. They can't go anywhere, so they're stuck. Only 1 or 2 get to fight, but it also makes it hard for other units to charge in as well because there's not a lot of room left to charge other units in through the center. You have to go more around.
Exactly. Benjamin really did some smart moves here. With his positioning on both his movement and his charge. He could have been a lot more aggressive, stick those big stabbers up front, throw them out there, kill those 2 units, but then he would have gotten probably a counter charge from the lances, which would have really packed a punch against those big stabbers.
He's now keeping those stabbers on the left as a counter.
Way in the back, actually.
Oh, those are the stabbers.
Yeah.
So those on the left are the boar boys. Boar boys.
Yeah, the Boar Boys specifically. The Boar Boys are the 2 units of 10 that are stuck in with the Demigryphs.
Okay, thanks. So he's keeping those stabbers safe. I think those stabbers for him are the key to destroying any units that he, of Demigryphs that he needs to. So if he needs to keep them safe.
Yeah, definitely. And his heroes, those heroes need to stay alive for Benjamin. Those heroes fall. All of his units just lose so much potential in buffs that it could be very hard for you to return that.
Yeah. So the special sauce in this army is really coming from from all the characters casting spells, maybe using some CPs, maybe
using command abilities.
It looks like that was Benjamin's turn. I don't think any models actually died. I didn't see any models being removed.
No, I believe both.
Maybe 1 unit.
Yeah, I believe both more units took a wound.
Took a wound, yeah. So that's very good.
And the Demigryphs took absolutely nothing.
No, there's no damage, but it's very good. He didn't actually lose any models or anything, so it's very minimal damage. So he paid a very small price for the thing that he wanted to accomplish, which is to just lock down the center.
Yeah, definitely. And now Mitchell has started his turn and is starting to move up to the flanks, grab those objectives, especially the one he left behind on the right. But he has to be aware of those boar boys because again, if he gets charged by those boar boys, then he's going to be stuck there until the end of that combat entirely.
Yes. Quick question: how many command points do they both have? Do you know?
You get 1 for each battalion, so Benjamin should have 2, and then he got 1 at the start of his turn, putting him up to 3.
Yeah.
From the looks of it, he didn't use any command abilities.
No, I don't think so either.
So he's currently still at 3.
Yeah.
And Mitchell had 1 battalion, I believe he lots other command points, which you can do with 50 points in the list.
Yeah.
So he would also be at 3 at the start of
So 3. All right. So both have 3. Yeah, I don't think Benjamin used anything really because they're all offensive abilities, and this first turn wasn't about being offensive.
yeah.
It was about establishing a good position on the board.
Yeah, most definitely.
Right, so now Mitchell's on the move, setting himself up. He's not being overly aggressive. I think he's realized that the center might not be the way to go, and he's trying to move to the sides.
Yeah. What I'm thinking here is that Mitchell's trying to move his remaining formation up on the right flank to get a charge on those savage orcs in the back.
Yes.
See if he can punch through them, hope that he doesn't get killed by the big stabbers, and then just move on to the objectives and make a clean sweep all across the board. I think that's his best bet as well, but we'll have to see.
Oh, it's also that Hurricanum, as we've been, when we talked about it, it's kind of like an it's kind of like a sniping unit. It's able to put, I believe, 3d3 mortal wounds or something like that.
Yeah, you roll 3 dice every 2 or 3 of his d3 mortal wounds against a target unit within 18.
It's really nasty.
Yeah, and it's a shooting ability. It's a shooting attack without a hit roll, so it circumvents the lookout. So
Yes, the entire lookout, sir. It's just well, he is charging in
that's
now,
interesting.
so he's going to be able to put maybe 4 in there, I think.
Yeah,
So he's trying to break open the center.
yeah. The lances also have 2-inch reach, so
Yeah,
if
so
you positions them sideways and put them up against each other, you'll
Yes,
be able to get
they'll
2
be able
rings
to
in.
fight. Yes. So that should be no problem. All of them fighting there.
Those are probably the unit with lances, so I think he's hoping to really back a punch, take out that unit with more boys right
Yes.
now, so he gets to free up his demigriffs again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it might be a very good play as well because Benjamin. So those big the big stubbers really are the big damage unit, but they're currently being like held there in place by the 20-man unit of orcs in front, and 30. And because they've been stringed out like very far, it might be very hard for them to move to a out of the way of the stabbers.
Yeah, yeah, that's going to be a problem for him definitely. Orcs don't move very fast,
No.
Especially they charge a lot, but they don't move very fast.
Oh, their
so-
movement's fairly. I mean, 5 inches is kind of like the middle of the road.
Yeah,
Probably.
it's about the average for infantry.
Yeah.
But against a much speedier cavalry army of Mitchell, it's going to be a huge disadvantage. And especially putting those big stabbers in the back, it's going to have its detriments if Mitchell is able to get the corner stuck in.
Yep.
Because then those big stabbers are just stuck there and they won't be able to move.
Nope, he'll just be stuck in the middle. Yeah. Alright, so some attacks going in now.
There, Mitchell actually moved his 6-man units up a bit, kept one a bit in the back. I'm not sure why.
For buffs maybe? Maybe some buffs or anything, keep a range of, but it's weird because this general. Does the general on the demigriff do anything for the
Yeah, so that comes in with the Hammer Lancers battalion. Any units from that battalion, after they have charged, if they are wholly within 18 of that general, they get +1 to hit and wound in the next combat phase.
Okay.
Which hurts a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, because you already have the lances getting +1 to wound and then +1 damage, and now also +1 to hit, another +1 to wound.
Yeah, so the battalion gives him now +1 to hit and wound. Then he might still be in range of his hurricane, which would give him another +1 to hit.
So it's actually +2 to hit.
Yeah.
They try +2 to wound. So it's twos and twos.
+1 to wound, but that's enough.
Yeah,
They're
2s and
already-
2s.
yeah.
because you don't have any strength versus toughness comparison in this game. It's just every weapon has a set profile at which they hit and at which they wound.
Yeah.
So that's 2s and 2s. So that's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, definitely. And you can actually see here that the 4 demi-griffs that got in on the charge just wiped out the entire unit of Warboys.
Yep. So that's one unit. Now he's rolling some attacks for the other one because it's an alternate I go you go thing. It's with 40k as well, except that the difference is in 40k all charging units get to fight first, and that's not the case with Age of Sigmar.
No.
It's just because it's your turn, you get to pick a unit first, and then you alternate.
Yeah.
So you really have to be smart about which units fight first, and
yeah, definitely. So there are some units that have innate ability from either their war scroll or the war battalion or whatever to allow them to fight at the start of the combat phase, but that is not very prevalent. So it doesn't become, you don't see it a lot.
Jonathan is leaving us. Jonathan, thanks for streaming yesterday. As always, you're a super trooper.
Good luck.
And we'll see you next time.
Fun.
Yeah.
See you next time.
See you next time. Okay. Oh, we've got some more text coming in here from some demi-griffs. Let's see if he's able to clear the other side as well.
Yeah. If it's going to be tough. I don't think he's going to be able to do it. But with a bit of luck, he might actually get a double turn.
Yeah, so that's another thing with Age of Sigmar. I don't know how to feel about that actually. But you've played more games and seen more games go. Is it very swingy, the double turn thing, or is it something that players can sort of keep in mind and with their deployment and things?
Yeah, I am of the opinion that a good player will be able to either weigh out the risk of getting double turned, or is able to play on it. So moving into a position where a double turn might not be that prevalent for his opponent. I also find that it can be really swingy, and it's a huge risk factor for both players. Because
Yeah, but it can potentially really cripple a player. You're getting double turn and then double turn not so much for combat, I don't think. But the danger is that usually double turn means that like a person gets 2 hero phases, maybe gets double the number of, like another round of casting some spells. If a player has a lot of shooting, that would be more dangerous, I think, than a very large combat army, because combat is alternated. So the worst thing a double turn could do is that your opponent gets to choose the first combat once again. But I think if it's a full combat army, it's less devastating than maybe a full shooting army, because the full shooting army just straight up shoots twice in a row.
Though some cav units are the exception to that, obviously, with their bonuses to charge. If they are able to charge, kill a unit, and then charge again next turn immediately, that can really throw the game plan.
Yeah. Looks like the other orc unit has survived relatively unscathed though.
Which could now become a problem for
because he can lock those orcs can again lock them down, and now they've all lost their charge bonus in the next combat. Yeah. So what do I think the lances are very deadly when they charge, but once they've charged and they lose their bonus, are they still okay? Or it's like
they become very regular combat weapons. They become very meh.
Okay. Because how many? Do you know how many attacks this one Demigriff Knight had?
Just on its weapon, I believe it's 3. But the lenses become, I believe, 4s and 3s, no rend, 1 damage.
Yeah.
They
start just whacking orcs.
Yeah.
But then the halberds, I imagine, are always pretty decent.
Yeah, they have an extra rend. just innately. But I believe still the same stat line. So they're able to just hold a bit longer and still be able to do a bit more damage at the time than the lances could.
Yeah.
If they are keeping stuck.
So it looks like Benjamin's turn again. So they've rolled off, and it looks like
Benjamin definitely.
they're going to roll off. So there's no double turn going on here. So let's check if there's any score. So Benjamin would have scored then 1 point.
Yeah.
2 points over here.
Yeah.
And then he's scoring this one.
Yeah, which is also 2 points. So that's
Because they are across from each other.
no, the center one. The
The
center
center one's always, so he scored 4.
yeah.
And then let's see, Mitchell here scores 1
Yeah.
and 2.
Yes. Yes. Benjamin also scored his defend hidden agenda because he kept Mitchell out of his deployment zone during the first turn. Where Mitchell didn't really score anything.
Because
from his
a
secondaries.
quick recap, Mitchell has C's. What was C's again?
C's is having more objectives than your opponent.
He didn't have any of that. And retake is probably taking objective back that was once occupied by, but he didn't do that either. And slay is just kill models.
Slay is kill the enemy hero with the biggest points value. But all of Benjamin's heroes are in the back, so that's going to be tough.
So and then at the end of the turn, you automatically generate SCP.
Yeah.
Benjamin would now be sitting on 4, but imagine he's going to expend some CPs this turn and to be aggressive because it looks like he's moving his 30-man blob up there.
Yeah.
So is there any way for he's moving his Stabas in behind? Is there any way for him to widen the gaps between each models of the orcs in front, so for the Stabas to move through?
Not enough.
No?
Not enough.
But they do have reach.
They do have reach, but on the charge, the first model that moves has to get within half an inch of an enemy model, which he's not going to be able to do with this formation.
Okay.
Not without breaking carrion seals.
No, so he just can't do it. All right. So it's as of now it's scoring of 5 for Benjamin to Mitchell's 2. So Benjamin in a bit of lead, but that's kind of to be expected when you have a big horde army and it's a very much an objective. Control the objective-based game.
Yeah.
So he's looking to maintain the line to keep Mitchell pushed back to prevent him from getting any more objectives than he already has.
Yeah, he's probably. It's a tough one. I'm not sure what Benjamin is thinking about his right flank, keeping that one orc unit so stringed out. He's going to get charged on the corner for sure.
Yes.
And if he has already charged into those demigriffs, sure, those demigriffs are stuck, but...
Yes. So how many wounds do the big stabbers have?
The big stabbers have 4 wounds each with a 6 of save. So that's, with 8 models, that's... 32
wounds, yeah. That's a lot of wounds.
That's a lot.
So I was going to ask, do you think he's going to Mitchell's going to target them with the Hurricane? But it's probably more wise to target some of the characters, I imagine.
Yeah. The only problem there is that he's going to have to get those heroes within range of him. And Benjamin is a very good player.
Yeah, he's probably aware of the Hurricane and the 28 inch threat range that it has, so he'll probably be keeping them out of that. But I imagine he also has to keep those characters within a certain range of his other Auric units to give them their buffs.
Yeah, definitely. Most of the Bonesplitterz spells are holding within 12 or holding within 18.
Oh well, that's easy. So he can actually keep them back far enough.
Yeah, but
keep them safe.
But a unit that is that spread out, you're gonna have to stick that hero much closer to the center of the unit to get the whole bubble.
It has to be holy.
Holy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that changes things. Yeah, because they're so far wide spread out, he has to put them somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So he's not able to take advantage from of the range because the unit is so big and spread out.
Yeah.
So actually, he might have to put them danger close to the range of the Hurricane and risk losing some capital.
I think I have to make a ruling here.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you can see here very much on the tip of the combat where the first stabber went. That stabber moved two orcs.
Out of coherence.
Out of coherency.
We talked about that. He can't do that.
No, he can't do that at
Off
all.
to the field you go.
Illegal maneuver.
Okay, cool.
So
So yeah, it turns out that those big stabber units just barely are small enough to
okay.
keep those two orcs in coherency, which is now going to become a problem for Mitchell.
So he actually can charge those stabbers in behind the orcs, the boys.
Which is really crazy when you think about the
Yeah.
damage potential of those big stabbers.
Yeah, because he can just screen them with a big blob of orc boys, and just have the stabbers do all of the damage. Yeah, this could be a problem.
This could be a game. This could be a game-winning turn right here. If he's able to do that much damage against the Demigryph Knights, he's stuck in with Mitchell's very little to work with anymore.
Yeah. If he loses all those demigryphs in the center, he'll only have like the general left and one more unit of demigryphs and the Hurricane, but that's about it. And they won't be able to maintain the objective.
So at that point, Benjamin is probably going to swarm out, spider web it all across the board.
Yep.
Lock the remainder of Mitchell's army into some deployment zone, into that little corner. Then it's just going to be 3 turns of slowly killing the remainder of Mitchell's army.
Yep. Right. Well, we'll see if the Demigryphs can withstand this charge.
Yeah, they do have a 3-up save, though the minus 2 win.
So it'll be a 5-up?
Yeah, 5-up. There is a general command ability that any army can use for rerolling save rolls on. So that he's probably going to use that on all 3 of his demigryph units just to keep them there.
Yeah, because they're also now locked, so they can't leave. And also, there's no room in the center anymore for new units of demigryphs to charge in. Although there's a bit of a room to the right side because he strung out some orcs around that building on the right side, so he can charge in there. But first, he'll have to survive this initial attack.
Yeah, most definitely.
2 to hit, so he's probably thrown on some buffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are the stabbers attacking. Well, actually, only one stabber came through on the left unit, but it did kill a.
Killed 2 of them, I believe. Oh, I just killed one. But that's, I think, maybe just 1 or 2. That may have just been 1 or 2 of the big stabbers that just put down 1 demigryph.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
Yep.
Because every single one of those demigryphs are worth just about 60 points each.
Yeah. Yep.
I wasn't expecting much less from Benjamin. He's very well known in England. I believe he even plays on the ITC team for England.
Okay.
So I didn't expect him to do badly.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a good player.
Yeah. I know Mitchell personally. He's also a very good layer, though in the Netherlands, big tournaments haven't been as prevalent as in the UK.
So maybe not as experienced as Benjamin might be.
Yeah.
So I imagine this is all the orc boys making their attacks, right?
Yeah, I think
so.
so.
But the stabbers have gone now then.
I think so.
But to me, it looks like he only lost one demigryph then.
Yeah, I think so too, which would be
Not a lot.
very minimal losses for him.
I think that's if that's the case, then that's a win for Mitchell, I'd say, because the
Because Mitchell is going to get the next turn for sure.
yes,
Because Benjamin took the first
Yes.
turn this battle round.
yes, there's no roll off. It's just
There's, yeah,
Mitchell's turn after this one because it's battle round 2.
which means that Mitchell can potentially anticipate on this.
Yeah, if he can, maintain that line and just manage not to lose too many of those demigryphs, he can the free unit of demigryphs to the right side of the board can just, move up the right side and charge the boys up there and actually get some more movement to swing around that building.
Yeah, this might even be the point for Mitchell to also throw down the chronomatic cogs to get the extra movement speed
Yes,
going.
the extra speed to move around.
Move those demigryphs up all the way. If he can get enough movement speed and a high enough charge, he can just charge those heroes in the back line and just kill them.
Yep.
And there goes all of Benjamin's synergies in one go. Then he's completely relying on just the hitting power of those big stabbers,
Although-
which are then exposed in the back.
Yep. Although it looks like so Mitchell just removed 4 of the demigryphs. So there is significant damage being done. So these probably were the big stabbers because he was rolling dice for damage and counting up the.
Yeah, that may have been the case indeed.
All right, so it's actually a big hit for Mitchell.
Yeah, that's a lot of points worth of demigryphs.
Yep.
That's going to hurt him in the long game.
Though now, every cloud is a silver lining. Mitchell can now decide if he wants to recharge through the center or still go up the right side.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a hard pick for him because those stabbers are just those big stabbers are just sitting there.
The stabbers are the problem. The orcs are a nuisance, but he needs to deal with the big stabbers ASAP. But the lances have a reach of 2 inches as well, right?
Yeah.
So potentially he could just charge the orcs in front and still attack the stabbers now because there's enough space.
Yeah, he could potentially do that indeed. Though I have a feeling that it's the lances, the big unit of 6 lances that has gotten killed already.
Yeah, but he has got another one, right?
Yeah, but those are halberds, 6 halberds.
And those have a range of 1.
So they do have 2-inch reach from just from memory.
Yeah, but they're not as deadly as the lances.
Yeah, exactly. They're much more of a line holder than a line breaker.
Yep.
So maybe Mitchell went a bit too aggressive with the unit of 6 demigryphs.
Yeah. It might. Well, we'll see if that's the case. But it might have been better to play the sides a bit more.
Yeah.
Instead of charging up the center, maybe charge those boar boys to the left and move around the right side with the other units.
You can just see how Benjamin is slowly closing the door
Yes.
with Mitchell as well.
He's just cartwheeling the whole thing in.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Really limiting the movement.
It's going to be a tough game from this point on for Mitchell.
Oh yeah, he lost a lot of those demigryphs. Yep. So is that that captain or on demigryph or griffin? Is he any good in close combat?
Yeah, especially on the charge, you give him lens, which becomes 3 damage on the charge.
Oh, that's pretty beefy.
That's really beefy.
How many attacks? You know?
5 from the top of my
5
head.
some odd. Okay. Hitting on 2s.
Yeah, with all of the buffs, he's going to be
Winning
hitting
on
on 2s. Hitting on 2s.
Any rerolling?
Rerolling. Once to hit, I believe, from his own command ability.
Okay. Because it's my impression that re-rolling anything in Age of Sigmar is pretty rare.
Yeah, rerolls are a lot less common than just flat out buffs.
Yeah.
To say attacks, hit, wounds, whatever. Though a lot of the armies, though some particular armies do it very, very well. See this is Sigmar being one of them.
Yeah. So they're actually one of the few armies that do get pretty steady supply to rerolls.
Yeah.
But it's usually just reroll one, so it's not.
Yeah.
It's rarely reroll everything, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes in 40k that gets a bit bananas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have noticed. I come from a 40k background as well, and
Yeah.
I just am amazed by how many shots, how many rerolls come from it. It's harrowing.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, right? It takes away a lot of the randomness, so the game becomes a bit more consistent in that regard. But I think the part of the charm of a game like this is, it can be a bit swingy because you're rolling dice. And so, but if you get to reroll everything anyway, it becomes a lot less swingy. So you can see that as a positive or as a negative.
Yeah.
But
and of course, I know a lot of players that always math out their units, that absolutely throw the math hammer down and try to figure out what the statistics are and everything.
Yep.
I personally, I do that a bit, but I feel like the charm indeed of the game is that it has its moments where it just goes crazy. Whether that's bad or good is remain to be seen.
Yep. So here Benjamin is moving. It's a consolidate move, I imagine, like a.
Well, I think his savage orcs haven't actually attacked yet.
Oh, it might. So the first batch where they only killed one demigraph might have been just the 10 orcs to the left side.
That could be, yes.
And so he then let Mitchell make an attack with a unit, and then he swung in with his big stab out. And now he gets to go with the 30.
And then here.
He's moving them up now, so any counter charge on the big stabbers through the center is now impossible.
Yeah, exactly. He perfectly screened those big stabbers. Mitchell's gonna have to really make a crazy flanking and charging move. For this to more swing in his way.
Just a sec while I say hello to my lady friend.
Though Mitchell does have one big pro going for him, and that's that the fact that the Griffin has fly, so he's able to stick it on top of that building, still remain on 3. Yeah,
it can do that, huh?
Yeah, it's not like 40k where weird edges. So you just put it on there and say, put it to the side, say it's on there, and be fair about it. It's
okay.
But that's going to be a huge advantage for him. Though I think
I don't know if that's if it would really give him.
Though it would give him the opportunity to charge from there onto those heroes in the back line, because those are almost perfectly in a formation where the base of that demigriff would fit perfectly. Mm-hmm. So he'd be able to if he's smart about it, split his attacks and just take out 3 or maybe even all 4 of those heroes in just one go. Which would really take the stinger out of Benjamin's arm.
Yeah. Though then the question becomes, is that enough? Because I imagine that 8 stabbers, even without any buffs, are still pretty deadly.
They're still scary, and at that point, Mitchell will have to hope for a double turn, because otherwise those big stabbers are just gonna look back behind them and charge that Griffin, and it's gonna die.
Yeah.
Like there's no chance for that.
Yeah.
Though I think, looking at what's happening right now, Mitchell is having a bit of a problem in the fact that the big unit of 6 halberds just got within 3 inches of those orcs. They got locked in combat. So now those are unable to retreat, and those are stuck there, spending probably 2 or 3 turns just having to get those 6
grind
of them
through. But they're I think essentially out of the game.
Yeah, that's unless he somehow manages to get that Griffin in, do a ton of damage, and somehow kill those 30.
Yeah, but the Griffin probably isn't going to kill 30 orcs anytime soon.
No, it's.
But he has the
chunk, but
Yeah, but he has the but
They're lances, I think. The right unit, or am I mistaken? I see little banners waving around, so I don't know if that's.
Those are probably just the banner.
Oh, those are the banner bearers. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm gonna have a quick peek. No, those are definitely lances. Oh no, wait.
Those are halberds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are helmets. I'm gonna grab a quick water because I'm getting a little parts. You want anything?
Water as well.
Water? Yeah, I'll be right back.
Yes.
Ja, dat snap ik. Jij bent vorig jaar ook tegenstander of helemaal goed.
Oh, there goes a wing. Probably for transport purposes, he's kept those loose. Which is a smart move considering how fragile they are. Yeah, at this point it becomes necessary for Mitchell to move those that hurricane him up, just so it can ensure that it's in a somewhat safe position of being able to shoot at whatever without being countercharged, because everything is already locked in combat. But we'll have to see what goes on next. He is moving that Griffin away from the rest of his army, probably to engage with those boar boys. But it's going to be looking from this distance. It's going to be somewhat of a tough charge. We'll have to see.
There you go, some O2. So, right. Oh, you've moved the demigraph off to the left side.
Yeah.
I think he's forsaken the center a bit.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's hoping to, because currently he's still holding the rightmost objective, so I think he's hoping to charge into those boar boys, kill them, then continue charging to that one hero.
Yes.
Controlling that objective.
Grabbing that objective.
Grabbing it, taking his retake, and also now having two objectives across from each other.
Yes. So a bit of scoring though, because Benjamin's turn has ended. He's got another 2 points for center objective, one for the left objective.
Yeah.
He
still had that one. You can walk away from objectives and still control.
Oh, they count as still being yours. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4 for the objectives. And then did he do any of his?
He actually has 2 more, because currently he may have more models on the bottommost objective.
Well, is it within 6?
It's within 6.
I see. So he might.
So last turn, Benjamin.
I'll ask.
Yeah,
I'll ask. Okay. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Yeah, he said he forgot to make a charge that would move those 10 boys further up there.
Yeah.
So it was just 4 points, and then any of the secondaries, ancient heirlooms.
Probably still defend because Mitchell was still out of his.
Yes, out of his deployment zone.
Yeah.
And attrition.
Attrition and ancient heirlooms become relevant at the end of the game. So.
Okay. So currently, but he is sitting on 10 if our.
Yeah. Which is a good lead going into turn 3 already soon.
Early? Yeah. No, but it's still turn 2 for. So bottom of turn 2 for Mitchell.
At this point, Mitchell's going to score 2.
He's going to grab
maybe 3 points.
He's going to grab 2 objectives, I think. He's not going to retake. Yeah. All right. Do this real quick.
Yes. We're getting fucked. 10 times for...
And 3s. It's 6 saves.
5s.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. Then I am a guess. They'll be going.
Wow. 6 saves on a 5 up.
All the spears into the big stabbers, and the mount attacks into the small guys.
Okay.
+1 to hit because of him. 2s. That's this unit. Wait, the big stabbers is within 10, so reroll once. And then 3 ups, 4 ups, no rerolls. 3, no rend.
It's the big stabbers, this is, yeah?
Stabbers.
6s. And 6s. No, 2 die, 1 throw. Well, it's that one that dies, he'll throw his weapon. Yep. Just 1 more wound.
Okay. 2 mount attacks. 2 ups, rerolling once. Right, this is them as well, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it is 2 up, so that hits. And then 3 up. No rerolls, so 4 saves at -1.
The general Griffin
5s.
to kill a couple of those
1.
balls.
And then 6s. And 6s here. Let's go. Save 1.
Yeah.
Nice.
We'll have to see how that ends.
What's that again?
They're brave
Yep.
by heart.
Might as well go there. Do you have a little 3-inch just so I can keep him out?
I've got a, wait, I lost it again.
Should be fine there anyway, isn't it? Yeah. Just so just
You
out.
want him out or in?
Out. It's already out
Yeah,
there.
that's out.
Okay, just go there. You'll just come. You'll just go there. You'll go there. Shuffle up. Shuffle up. So there's 4 of those.
Yeah.
That's 1, 2, 3. Where's the champion? Not in there. Nope. 4s and 3s.
Ja, in plucht.
3.
3. No rend.
No rend.
3 up. 1 damage.
Yep.
Where's that one? Okay.
Cool.
Oh, it's me again.
Yeah, you go.
They have gone. They haven't, right? Okay. Not that it matters. So they'll go. Otherwise, you'll get more attacks. Two helmets.
Yeah.
+1 to hit because of his aura. Reroll once because of his. So 2 up, reroll once. Nope. And 3 up, reroll once because of the general's aura.
Pieces of paper on the table are
4 -1.
you
The more boys.
Yeah, and this one.
Okay. So straight through, then 6s. I'll do the back 2 on mystical.
Yeah.
I rolled for every table
So
to see
one-
what green boost I could get, and just stuck a token onto there.
One takes a
As a
wound.
reminder of what everything does.
Right.
That's useful.
Mount attacks. 2 up, reroll once. Yeah, that's enough. 3 ups, reroll once. 1 mystic, 1 mortal wound, and
Okay.
6 saves at
Saves.
-1.
Oh, they go straight through, so just 7. 7.
Okay.
Well,
Kill him.
the only
there's
thing
3
I
left,
can do
that means
is,
1.
at this point,
Do you even do that? Want to keep him? Nah. Yeah, I'm not going. Yeah. Okay. Well, 4 dead there. Okay, mine.
Okay. Yeah, you are, yeah.
See him? So,
From the center, 6.
yeah.
The
So
back
1,
one
2,
is?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at the moment.
Yeah.
So, have I got more than 7 within 9? 4 there potentially, probably only 2 there. Nah.
Oops. So, we've been talking a lot, but the microphone was turned off. So, whoopsie. So, real quick recap, excuse us guys, is that Mitchell's locked up for the most part. Most of his units is locked in. Those demigraphs on the far side actually only have one demigraph in combat with that big blob of orcs that's wrapped around the building. So they're stuck. The two demigraphs in the center are stuck. The captain is still fighting like 1 or 2 boar boys or something.
Just a singular boar boy just sitting there, which usually a griffin would be able to take care of quite nicely, but he probably whiffed a couple of rolls, was unable to kill enough to make that bell shock impactful enough so that they all would run away. Really what's going on here is that Mitchell wants Benjamin to have the first turn next turn.
But I think Benjamin already started his turn. So I think they're actually into the new battle round because he's moving his stabs now.
Could be. Oh, and that does mean he got one of his spells.
Yeah, the jumping.
This guy will run.
That's a spell from
This guy will run.
Bonesplitterz have a spell called Breath of Gorkamorka, which gives a unit double characteristic and fly. And if you roll doubles on that spell, it triples. So he probably got that off on those big stabbers, which are now jumping over, flying over his
This guy will run.
towards that
He's going 10.
So you get stabbers, which is scarier already, but now they have fly.
and move fast.
And move really fast. So they're coming for that knight or that captain on the griffin now.
Yeah, I think
This is done, I think.
Yeah.
Because they'll probably kill the knight, right? He's going to give those stabbers their buffs. So they're going to be hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s, or something like that. And then -2. I think the griffin, the captain has a 3-up save.
Yeah.
So he'll go to a 5-up save. But I think the sheer number of attacks is just going to overwhelm him. If he loses that guy,
I think at this point it's very much a clean-up job for...
There. Away you go. Sashay away.
Charges. Stabbers.
Alright. Sorry.
Double
for that,
1,
guys.
they get
We,
+1 from the charge, so they go 3.
because
Do I re-roll that though? Because
trying to fix the top view
we'll
camera.
get everybody in.
And
Yeah,
accidentally
with a
turned
3-inch range, they're
But it's
fine.
back on.
As long as he.
So we were talking about how Mitchell was locked up and
Because of the
he needed
+1 to
Benjamin
hit,
go
run and
first.
charge spell.
Or next turn, because he might be able to kill he might be able to kill enough models to free himself. But now that the stabbers are coming over, it's actually I don't think it really mattered. Yeah, I didn't think it mattered very much if Mitchell went first.
No more charges.
I think the result would have been the same anyway.
So
it's a bit of a clean-up.
beginning of the combat phase.
I think
I'll give them reroll 1s to hit.
I think the crux of the story is
Get it back.
Mitchell focused
I'll give
too
them
much
exploding
on
attacks.
He committed probably too early.
Wholly within 18.
We went a bit too aggressive. He probably should have because those two units are very good for
So that's 1 stack in. I haven't used a command point yet. I'll give them another 1.
I think so too.
That's 2 stack in.
There you go.
Go down to 2. I'll stay there. And then pile in from them. So he'll go like
How
that.
many games after?
He'll go like that.
One more or 2 more? Just one.
He'll go like that. He'll go like that.
5-round tournament.
And we'll do 4 into the big guy, 2 into the others. So 4 into the big guy. Do the 2 into the demigriffs first. 2s re-rolling 1s. 3 6s, 6 extra attacks.
Yeah.
3s.
Those are good things. You know, more people, more enthusiasm.
That is
more people,
6, 7, 8, 9.
There's more enthusiasm. Even more people are drawn into the game, maybe as well. You know, it's a growing community.
Oh my God! Again.
Remember there was a
Wow.
big tournament, Age of Sigmar, at
3.
London.
Jesus.
Still something that's going on because I a lot of
If you do that again on him, that would be nice.
Oh my god, these guys. 4 saves.
I mean, after that, if he does survive, he'll kill himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, throw all the spears in. He's got 9 left, right?
Yeah.
So 2s. Rolling 1s. That's 8 extra attacks.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I am not quite sure, to be completely fair.
Right now?
Yeah. It's two mortal wounds in addition to. It's terrible, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
For Age of 6.
6
2 mortal wounds. Because of?
because of the monster ability.
Yes.
Huh?
You didn't declare it.
Well, it means that I said I was doing that every turn. Like that's it's the only one they choose. We spoke about it last turn. I thought that was
So let's get
clear.
to the number
Sorry.
here. As well,
So it's 2 more in addition to and 12 saved.
Our Age of Sigmar symbol.
Yeah.
It's actually a very fun game. You know, I the games I have played, I'll say I have enjoyed myself a whole lot. I think the models are very cool. If I'm being honest, I think the models are cooler than in 40K.
5 up.
For a lot of them anyway.
That's not enough.
And also, I also feel like Age of Sigmar does a very well job at giving
It's monsters, so it's
flavor to
D6 against monsters as
certain
well.
way.
So still terrible. Look.
Their rules are often very flavorful. They go, a lot of the times they go before making rules, so they figure out, because I actually got the chance to talk to Age of Sigmar rules writer a couple years ago.
Really?
And he explained that the process kind of went that they would get a unit, get a drawing in, and then from there they would figure out the story behind it, and from there they would figure out what kind of abilities it would get, which really makes for these interesting lore-based armies. And Age of Sigmar lore is very, very between all the mortal types, so you can very much these armies as well.
They do a lot. So in Age of Sigmar, does it have a very strong power tree?
Okay.
It has very big shockers. So
this is without the +1 to hit. There's still reroll ones though, please.
Quite prepared for, which just makes them look really broken.
2, so this.
There have been a couple slips up,
Followed by 6s. Followed by no, I'll just kill him.
everything.
What was this from the front 2?
But that doesn't
Reroll ones.
very often, I feel, in Age of Sigmar.
These 2 go.
I feel like personal opinion, I feel like every
2 mortal wounds, 4 saves and -1.
every unit can be buffed for
6s.
every army needs
Followed by 6s. Followed by 6s. 1.
And the 2 mortal wounds as well.
Sorry, and 2 in addition. Yeah. So 6s. Followed by 6s. That's 2.
and I hear a lot about certain units not being just not good.
2.
Okay.
I tend to just disagree and challenge
Helmet.
to make
3.
a list
2, 3.
with those models.
1 hit. 3. 4 -1.
I also enjoy
6s. Followed by 6s. Ooh, followed by 6s. Takes 1.
really good.
Yeah. That's always fun. It's a bit of a good way to challenge yourself. So, but also the advantage is those kind of units.
5 saves.
5 mortal wound.
Okay. The saves first. 6s.
People don't see them a
2.
lot, and then usually they're taken by surprise.
Yeah, in combat. Yep. And then put that one back in.
When handled
6s.
well and they perform well, people are
And then
taken by surprise because they didn't see
well,
it
do
coming.
1
So
on
that's a
him.
very fun
6s.
way to actually play the game.
Nope, he's dead.
Yeah.
So I've got 3
I
left.
got
I'll
myself
take.
a,
Oh no, I can just take mysticals over there.
Spike Gideon.
So mystical. Nope,
Any
he's
good?
dead. And then 1 more on him.
Are weird.
He saves it.
Either spike really well and then just murder everything, or
Yep.
they just sit there and hope they don't get killed. It's a potentially very high-end army. Average, it's a bit more mid-tier, which can be really, really fun. I personally find that Bonesplitterz is a very good debuff and negation army. Just
Is he out or in?
Yeah.
He's out.
Putting out minuses to hit, chances to save. You're just sitting there going like, you can't hit me.
Out.
No, I've got
I'll stay out.
bought the
So no attacks from there.
Yeah, the Squiggle Lance, which is
Nope.
crazy, to say the least. And Squigs are nasty.
Yeah, really.
Will touch a unit and it will die. There is no discussion about that.
Oh yeah, I'm particularly a fan of the Loon boss on Magnus Squig, and then you can give him the general trait that he can fight, and then after he's fought, immediately retreat from combat.
Fight another day,
Yeah.
which is ingenious, especially
Sixes.
combined with one of the artifacts.
Save 1, so he's down to
So
1.
he can't be attacked, I believe, or at least has -1 to hit.
Yeah, straight up minus.
Yeah, so he's just standing there like, you can't hit me until that point, and then I attack you, and finally,
Just 6s.
I just retreat.
Save 1. He dies though.
Yes,
It's,
it's very fun. Yeah. So
And
what
throws
are
his
kind
spear.
of like the top
Nope.
tier armies as of now?
currently we're shifting more towards Siege. It's a very good one.
Yeah.
Battle shock.
The flavors, there's
Don't know what their bravery is.
Their bravery 6. They only lost 1. I'll just roll for that.
I've seen a few games on the internet going
Annoying.
around with the flavors that they,
Their
they
bravery,
used to be
well, I'll just
pretty
CP
okay,
them,
but
see if I
now
get the CP
they
back.
put them in
Nope,
a certain
so go down to
army,
1.
gives them an additional -1 rend.
yeah.
So they become like 18-inch range, D6.
I get that one this time.
But hitting on
Yeah, you've got 5.
Yeah.
3 flat shots.
So I score 3, 4, 5, 6. So I go 16.
But it's just become so many shots from one unit that it just wipes.
6. See what the penumbral engine does? Stayed the same, so just the crap one.
Which allows you
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yep.
flavors teleports
Okay, I've got 2 banners left.
away from you still.
Sixes.
That 18 range is very hard to chaff against.
Yep. You could probably
Turn 4,
screen
5 this.
anyway.
4.
Because you don't really see a lot of ranged things in Age of Sigmar. At least that's how I feel. I don't know. Are there any like armies you see going around tournaments
Okay.
that are very ranged based?
On an 8.
They're still inside, yeah?
Inside.
Combat.
Yeah.
Okay, banishment.
It's potentially a very good army, but you see a lot of handgunners
Too bad.
because those just look at
Then
something.
we give him the plus 1 save aura.
Yep.
Then we go
Charge a
straight into
unit of
movement.
handgunners,
Yep.
you get shot again.
Yeah, they have that rule. Yeah.
Yeah,
12
which
plus 6, 8
becomes painful. You don't want to charge them, but you need to charge them, especially if you have that army.
I think the handgunner, the Empire army with the lots of shooting has been a thing for a longer time. So before armies of Sigmar, I think they were already a thing. But they just had like massive line of handgunners protected by a big line of swordsmen.
Yeah, well, one of the funner tricks I've seen people come up with is
That's your general, yeah?
Yep.
That's the one with the highest point value.
Yep.
they have a 1 inch
How many wounds?
6.
6. Smart wound save?
6 up.
or less than an inch.
Yeah.
Just by a couple millimeters, but still. So what happens is people charge the handgunners, get shot, and then the Great Sword are standing behind them and just slashing over the handgunners, attacking.
Because if you charge the handgunners, you also you get a range of the so it's a 2-inch range. The Raven's a 2-inch range.
2 plus,
Not sure on
2,
that
3 more
one,
wounds
but
on him.
even then with 1 inch range,
3 to 3.
handgunner bases are 25 millimeters, which is smaller than an inch.
You
6s.
know what I think about
And 6s. Oh, yes,
anything
please.
that has like great
Thank you.
weapons though. It's like,
Saved 1, so he takes 4.
for the most part, units I've seen that with
2
great
left.
weapons, they're like, these massive weapons, but their weapon travels are kind of mad. Sometimes, usually they get like a -1 charge, but sometimes not even that. And then I'm at least.
He has to charge, actually.
At least it should have
Yeah.
-1 rend, but also like damage too. They're
The Great Swords, for example, have an ability that if they roll 6s to hit, it will more in addition to the damage. They also have a pretty decent close combat profile.
He's out 6. He's out 6.
That's not a bad combat profile.
No, it's just, but it seems
Yep.
a bit. I don't know, it seems a bit underwhelming to me. It's just the damage one weapon. But you know, I'm just.
Yeah, well, Age of Sigmar is usually not a very save heavy game, so any rend will already do a fair amount. Funnily enough, one of the
2 ups, reroll once.
really well at tournaments right now are ogres.
Yeah, but they put out a lot of damage because the basic ogre already has
sixes.
like rend -1 and 2.
Nope.
No rend.
Takes 3.
It's like 4 attacks and 2 damage a piece,
Yeah.
which is tough to
3
deal
ups.
with.
Yeah, because it just feels like a blob of ogre.
So just
And then
straight through.
They have
So
like
4 in
3 or
total.
4 wounds each. And so you charge
Save
someone
none.
there, but
So that's
maybe kill
2
ogres,
die.
but then
No,
there's
1 dies.
6, like,
And 1 is up wound.
before attacks, chopping down with damage.
Throw spear. Yep.
One of their biggest
1 wound.
stones, which are
Yeah, just the guys in combat with. Yep.
because those will charge and they will burn some bullets.
Yeah, they charge in to do the
Yep.
D6 more wounds, I believe. when they
I'll go
charge
here.
and stuff.
Yeah, it
No.
got changed a little bit.
I'm actually just going to go there first.
If they took that ability away and gave an army-wide
Am I?
that ogre units that charge, possibly the water ones and the big monsters
He's
like
out.
the stone
Yeah.
just have,
He's in. So that's 5 you've got there.
extra
Can't really.
higher potential to modules.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, besides that, you can really stack up on the horn attacks for the big stone horn. At which point it will do 4 damage a swing with like 8 attacks, which is incredibly painful.
Yeah, I imagine.
Fairly certain it's it's threes, maybe even -2. So that will just charge into something, and unless it doesn't get to attack first for whatever reason, it's probably gonna kill whatever it charged.
Probably, yeah. That sounds pretty deadly.
De appjes van Danny kijken, want er staat zo'n telefoons.
Ze staan allemaal aan.
It is that there's a specific rule in the horse troll that if it's a hero, it doesn't get counter, otherwise it would have been
Okay. Okay. Let's see if we can do something about that. Although I don't think. So let's see if this is any better. So testing 1, 2. I'm talking. Yeah. So the bootmark zone, guys. I don't quite understand what's the problem because it hasn't been a problem up until this point. But I increased the volume for the microphone a bit. So let Danny in the chat know if this is any better. If not, he'll give me another shout and I'll crank it up even more, I guess. So going back into the game of Benjamin and Mitchell here, before we went off into other topics. Yeah. It's a brief history of Age of Sigmar. So last when we were watching, it was kind of a bit of a cleanup game, but it looks like it's still the case. Although there's a significant less number of orcs on the board.
Yeah, I noticed that too. The unit on demigriffs on the far end of the table
Are still alive.
are still alive and slowly starting to deal with those orcs. Obviously, the Griffin didn't stand a chance against the
Stabbers.
the big
Nope, he got
Stabbers.
deleted.
Yeah, probably really harshly. Though looking at it, he lost a couple big stabbers, so there are only 3 left.
Yeah, looks like, yeah. There's one demigriff there standing in combat with those stabbers.
Yeah, so hopefully that one demigriff can hold out a bit longer. Well, hopefully for Mitchell at least.
Yeah.
And be able to deal with what out with that. Though chances are starting to slip for Mitchell. Points are probably not going his way either.
Yeah, I can check in with the players quickly for a standing of points. Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah. So let's see what the current standing is. So we got a question coming in from the chat. Oh, here we got the scores.
So Benjamin is currently at 16 points, where Mitchell is at 6.
Yeah,
so going into this is probably the 4th battle round then, which means that
4th or 5th, yeah.
Yeah, which means that Mitchell is probably not coming back from this points-wise.
Nah, he doesn't have the models anymore.
No.
But I mean, like we said, well, maybe because the big unit of orcs has been strung out a bit more, it looks like there's less.
Yeah.
But there's still a big, because it also loops around the building.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit the same, but he did kill some stabbers. That's because there's only 3 left. So I think the Griffin actually, maybe he went down, but I mean, he might actually kill a few, or maybe the Celestial Hurricane took a few shots at it.
That could also be the case. The Celestial Hurricane was also able to cast spells, so it maybe was able to do a couple more wounds, take a couple of those big sips out.
Yes. So there's a question from chat coming in asking which army was lethal with the charges we talked about. Well, we talked about the demigryphs. With the demigryphs are equipped with lances, and so lances in general in Age of Sigmar have a rule that whenever the unit charges with them, they typically get like +1 to wound, or +1 rend and +1 damage. Some combination of those 3 statistics. I believe it's for the demigryphs it's +1.
It's actually an extra 2 rend, and it becomes 2 damage.
So it goes from rend nothing to rend 2.
Yeah.
And from damage 1 to damage 2.
Yeah.
So if you have a unit of 6 demigryphs, with lances, especially in this battalion that the cities of Sigmar can do. What's it called again?
For Mitchell's army is the hammer hall.
The hammer halls. The hammer halls. Whenever they charge and they are within range of the captain, I believe.
Yeah, that's from the battalion indeed. When the hammer hall lancers, when units from that battalion, including the Griffin himself, charge and are wholly within 18 inches in the following combat phase of that Griffin, they get +1 to hit and wounds, which is quite good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Between all the artifacts that and stuff that Mitchell is going on, Mitchell's pretty much able to string along a +4 to hit, and it's only quite a shame for him that ones don't hit at all, because otherwise he would have always been hitting everything.
Yep. Yep.
He really has a lot of double buffs in his army, so it doesn't matter if one of his heroes dies very quickly.
Yes.
Because he'll have it somewhere.
So
else.
there are multiple characters that can give the same buff, so it's kind of like a safety net. So that's the answer to your question. So then you charge in 6 demigryph knights with the lances, and bingo bango, they hit on 2s, wound on 2s, run 2, damage 2. They have 3 attacks each, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's potential of 6 damage per demigryph. And then the demigryphs themselves are fairly decent in combat as well, although I don't think they get any of the buffs.
No, I don't believe they get buffs on the charge either.
But they do have like 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, I believe, wounding on 3s, and it's a rend 1.
Yeah, rend 1 and I believe D3 damage. 1 or D3.
I think it's damage 1.
I can even look it up.
Yeah, sure.
Real quick.
In the meantime, what are the scores and what's the battle rounds being asked? This is battle round 5. And the score, this is battle round 4, and the score is 16 to 6, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
16 to 6. So for the to the orcs, so or the Bonesplitterz. So the Bonesplitterz are in the lead, and they will probably stay in the lead because the Cities of Sigmar army has been whittled down to the point where it's very hard to get any points on the board now. So effectively, this game has been played out. It's a bit of a mop-up now, and maybe just maybe more of an opportunity for the Orcs to just get more points.
Yeah, or for Mitchell to somewhat mitigate mitigate how many points he loses on this. Try to score as many as he can, so he may still have somewhat of a chance to get into the top 3. But at this point, it's going to be tough.
Yep.
So yeah, I looked at the demigryphs again. Their mounts at least. They have 3 attacks, 3s, and 3s -1/1 damage, and 6s to wound for them. 1 to wound in addition to the damage. So even the mount attacks are very, very dangerous.
D3 damage?
Not 1.
Oh,
just 1, but more the wounds on 6s to wounds. So.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. But here go the stabbers again. I think. Yeah, he probably cast a spell where they get to fly. He rolled a 5. That's probably for their run move because the stabbers have that innate being able to run and charge. So they go. There you go.
Yeah, they have to stay outside of 3 from enemy units. That's a thing in Age of Sigmar, where in 40k you have to stay outside of 1 inch. In Age of Sigmar you have to stay outside of 3 because 3 is technically the combat range.
Yes.
So he had to fly them over completely. And now he's just moving heroes to grab the objectives, make sure he's not losing them.
Yep.
Mitchell still has the Knight Azeroth running around, which he's now trying to steal objectives with.
He's in that central ruin part with the blue wings. I believe one of his wings actually broke off.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's magnetized them. I hope he magnetized them.
I hope for him that he magnetized them.
But the Knight Azeroth is trying to go off and maybe grab an objective. It looks like Benjamin is saying nope because he's moving a character over there as well. But I think Knight Azeroth is pretty decent in common as well, right? He's like.
He's okay. He's just very fast and has that re-rolling hit rolls for enemy units within 10 inches of him, which is a really nice buff.
He's more of a buffing character than an offensive character, like But is that the dude with the bow?
No, this is the bow guy is called the Knight Venator.
Oh, okay.
This one has a sword and a lantern.
Okay. Oh, is he the dude that also then is good against Chaos units with the lantern?
I think it might be. I think he has a special rule against Chaos. Indeed.
You can use the light of the lantern to ward off Chaos.
Yeah, and I believe do like D3 or something like that. Once per game.
Nothing massive, but it can be useful.
Every point of damage counts.
Mortal wounds are usually just straight up wounds, right?
Yeah, there are ways to
some
mitigate
Feel of Pain like saves.
Which Bonesplitterz also innately have.
Yeah, 6-up.
Yeah, 6-up.
They just have a 6-up save, and it doesn't get any better, but it's a save that works against anything, really. Like their War Paint.
Yeah, which is quite funny if you think about it, that the paint protects them well.
Well, they believe in the paint.
Yeah.
That's what protects them. Oh, here go the stabbers into the Celestial Hurricane. Oh no, into the demigryphs, it looks like. They're over there, I think.
Yeah, so that's why you moved them over.
Yeah, you wanted to get rid of those last few demigryphs.
Which is completely fair, because I think if he kills those, then it is genuinely over. Then there's nothing Mitchell can do anymore. Because that Celestial Hurricane is also locked in combat. It's just going to be stuck there forever.
Yep.
And just one of Benjamin's heroes needs to get within 3 inches of that Knight Azeroth and survive long enough to keep him stuck there.
Yep.
So I think Mitchell really went wrong in the first turn and overcommitted. And I think that's where things kind of fell out of his grasp.
Yeah.
I think he could have done very well waiting another turn, just standing there, maybe not as exciting, but a smarter move in this case.
Yeah. Okay, well, he's got some attacks being made back, I believe.
Yeah, probably the Hurricane
Firing its.
or just attacking. It does have some very weak close combat attacks.
Yeah, isn't it like a chariot? Or?
Yeah, pretty much.
But needs a charge then to be effective.
No, it's drawn by horses, hence its 10-inch move.
Okay.
But it's not very good at combat.
Are chariots still a thing in Age of Sigmar? Like, are they any good or?
They have their use. They are often quite cheap. And do have a lot of movement, relatively big bases, so they can block off lanes and such. But they have become a bit less prevalent over the last couple of years at least.
Yeah, I think it's mainly been like a foot troops game where you don't see a lot of cavalry and you don't see a lot of you don't see a lot of chariot things. Why is that anyway? What's
This opinion is probably quite polarizing, but to put it in very simple terms, hordes really feel like a lazy, easy board control.
Okay.
Just having a lot of models that will just string out, not allowing his opponent to move as much at least. It just creates this uncomfortable zone for an opponent to play in because they don't know where to go. And a good horde player can really fill up about 2/3 of the board very quickly.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's just making sure you don't die. Usually, those hordes come accompanied by a bigger, stronger unit, like with Slaanesh with the Keeper of Secrets, to mop up any very hard-hitting or dangerous units. And do the necessary damage that is required to actually make a difference.
Is it also because hordes just have a lot more staying power than cavalry, which tend to have less models?
Yeah.
Like hordes are big, so in that sense they have the movement anyway, because whenever they move, they have such a large footprint.
Objective control, because an objective nature Sigmar just counts the most amount of models near it. So
there's no objective secured like things.
No. They did, because ogres are also a very elite army, because they have very big models. They did allow ogres, the regular ogres at least on foot, to have a capping count as 2 models each.
Okay.
And the big monsters count as 10.
All right.
So that does create an opportunity for ogres to hold objectives at least. But the hordes just have that sheer amount of numbers, and if a horde unit sits on an objective, spreads out enough, then
you can't get near. You have to kill them.
Yeah,
there's a lot. So
yeah.
All right. No, that makes sense.
But I do feel like that because I personally very much like the cavalry playstyle.
Yeah.
I like the movement speed. I like being able to surgically remove enemy heroes or units from the board. So I do feel like that a good player will be able to use that cavalry, use that movement speed, use that instant punch to do the things that are necessary to win a game.
Yeah.
But they do require quite a bit more experience and practice than hordes.
Yeah, I guess they're less forgiving than a horde.
Yeah.
A horde is just fairly resilient. It just moves around in the big blob. You take a hit, can spread itself out.
And the hordes are definitely good, and they still require practice, of course. But I find that often their only real downside is their unit size, because it becomes harder to get all those models within range of areas of effects, of auras, of buffs.
Yeah.
But I find that that it just becomes a bit easier to sit on an objective to fill the board up.
All right, let's see what's going on here. Benjamin is still going on in his turn. Looks like
the Celestial Arcanum has died by now.
Yep, it's been taken down.
Slowly stabbed to death by.
There seems to be only one demigryph left over there.
Yeah.
And the knight. What's his name with the wings?
Yeah, the Knight Azeros.
And the Knight Azeros. I think those are the only two models left, really.
Yeah. Yeah, this is probably the last combat phase. Maybe next turn.
Yeah.
But at this point, it's quite a finish game.
Yep. But so Benjamin has. We were talking about his things. He had attrition. Oh, he had ancient heirlooms. That's the one. What?
Ancient heirlooms requires you to keep your heroes with artifacts alive.
Okay. Gotta keep those heirlooms in the family.
Yeah, exactly. And attrition is killing 2/3 of your opponent's army.
Which he's done.
Which he has done quite easily.
And how many points would that give you?
Because those are scored at the end of the game.
Yes.
You score 4 points flat for them. Yeah.
So is it a 4 max per mission as well?
Yeah.
But the defend is the one where you defend your objectives, or you don't allow your opponent to be in your deployment zone.
Yeah, which Mitchell now is, I believe, because Age of Sigmar doesn't work necessarily with deployment zone. I've been calling them deployment zones, but they work with territories.
Yeah, you have like 3 square quadrants.
Yeah,
each side, right?
or in this case it was a diagonal line from corner to corner.
Okay. So there's 2 big territories here.
Yeah, and defend says keep your opponent out of your territory. The deployment comes in when it says on the mission how far you have to deploy from enemy territory.
Yeah.
So in this case it was 9 inches, which was quite good for Benjamin because he was able to close that gap just that much quicker. So yeah.
It's a little boar boy with his totem banner.
Yeah.
Charging the Knight Azeroth, and a character going in as well, trying to finish him off. And there's the drummer boy. I don't know.
Yeah, he's, Benjamin has converted pretty much his entire army.
Yeah, I saw
here.
it. It looks really good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all within a Nurgle theme, which has worked out quite well.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah.
To be fair, it's orcs aren't the cleanliest of races.
No.
So they get a little stinky in there.
And you know, with Nurgle's blessings, they become quite resilient and can fight forever. So.
Yep. All right, here we go. The tag team against the Knight Azeroth.
Yeah.
Even FC.
So yeah, Benjamin just got his Savage Big Boss in on that Knight Azeroth, which can do a lot of damage, and hopefully for Benjamin that's gonna do the job. Then on the other side of the board, those big stabbers will finish off the remaining demigryph, which I believe is just it's just a single model. It's just a single model at this point, so chances are that this is the turn where it ends. In which case they will add up points, and Benjamin will have his 4th win of the weekend.
Yeah, no, it was here, like, you could have killed that with that's why it was important that you stay there. You could have killed that one in combat. Yeah, that's why it was important to me that you stayed there, so I could the mortal wound out around so at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Get that point and you get slay.
Yeah.
And you would have got defend as well. Okay, so do I score another 8? So I go to 32 on points.
Yeah, but the middle one, like, how you got the defense comes in. So this is one.
Oh, right. It looks like they're
the
done.
the Knight Azeroth just died.
Yep.
The remaining Demigryph died. So now they're just counting up points and seeing what the final score is.
Yep.
So this will be Benjamin's 4th win for the weekend.
So it's going pretty well.
Yeah.
So do you know? What other armies have been doing well?
Well, in 3rd place so far, I believe we have an Osiark Bone Reaper list, which have been doing really, really well. It's a Nagash list, which just puts out so many mortal wounds and has such survivability.
Yeah. Because it has. I heard that the Osiark Bone Reapers are like have a 3-up save across the board.
Yeah, that's one of their sub-factions.
Yeah, so they have a 4-up, but then if you take that sub-faction, you get a +1.
Yeah, to all of your
straight up.
Yeah, which is it's insane when you look at it, because it's like, how are you going to deal with that? You're going to think, but I find that they are not as crazy good as they are giving credit.
Well, you have this,
given credit for.
like you said before, you have this initial shock reaction to something, but that's usually because people aren't prepared for it, and then they hit the scene, and all of a sudden, they're here, and they start winning because people aren't prepared. But then for next tournaments, people are actually starting to prepare.
Yeah, because we are starting to find that. Like, for example, with Petrifex Elites, even shooting will go through them, because especially with the Mortec guards, who can potentially reroll failed save rolls, but only in the combat phase, so they just get shot off the board. Like, +1 to save will help a bit with that, but you could also try different lists. I feel like all of the sub-factions, even though they don't get played as much, do each have their place within the game.
Yeah.
They just aren't as obvious as the Petrifex Elite.
Yeah. They're like the obvious powerhouse.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I'm going to make another parallel again. It's kind of like with Space Marines. Like with Space Marines now in the meta, Iron Hands are the obvious powerhouse. Well, they used to be. Now it's been changed a bit. But when they just came out, Iron Hands had like the big indestructible tanks, because they had these buffs to give to the tanks. They had Feel No Pain, and then one of the characters had another thing that said whenever you deal damage to one of their vehicles, it's subtracted by 1.
Yeah.
So the Iron Hands were the obvious powerhouse. But then there were other
other chapters that were actually really good as well, but the way they work were more subtle, not so clear. And so that's a bit maybe with the Osiarch Bone Reapers as well. There's like one big powerhouse, like their bonuses are obvious, like bam, +1 save, or very powerful in combat.
Yeah.
But then you have a few ones that are a bit more subtle, but still very powerful.
Yeah.
Like you said, like the list that deals a lot of mortal wounds. Is that the list that also gets the +1 save then, or is that like another?
Yeah. In this case, it does because he runs Nagash, which can cast Arcane Bolt, which is kind of the smite of.
Endlessly, right? Again and again. And
yeah,
again.
he can do it up to 8 times.
So it's
which
rapid
is just,
fire.
It's crazy. It does a lot of mortal wounds, and he has a lot of pluses to his casting, so he is able to get those D3 instead of 1.
Because smite used to be D3, I believe.
Yeah.
And then they changed it to 1 mortal wound, I think.
Yeah, because every wizard knows the Arcane Bolt.
So if you had like 10 wizards, you were just able to.
Yeah, well, it's not spammable within Age of Sigmar.
Because you can only do it once. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But you used to be able to spam it like at the very beginning.
Yeah.
You could cast whatever you wanted as many times as you wanted it, as long as you had wizards to do it.
Yeah.
And then they changed it like, well, no, maybe we should, allow it. Just a spell with the same name can only be cast once per turn. So that was a good change because. I played the game, and in that game, there were like 6 wizards running around, all just smiting everything. But now, so smite is a 1 mortal wound, and then if you roll maybe like 10 or higher or 11 or higher?
Yeah, 10 or higher.
10 or higher becomes D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
But then Nagash gets like +4 if he's unharmed, right?
+3, but there are ways, not within Osiarch Bone Reapers, I believe, but within his Legions of Nagash book. There are ways to make him like +4 or 5 to cast, in which
case you only need like a 5 up to do the D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
I can
do that 8 times over.
I can understand how that gets a little crazy, and I also believe like Nagash is one of those units that refuses to die because he has like you can get him to like a 3-up save reroll once, and he ignores rend.
Yeah, no, that's within a certain combo, but his base stat line is already a 3-up save. He has 18 wounds. He ignores more wounds on a 4-up.
Yes.
He ignores.
He bounces them back on a 5-up, I believe, or a 6-up.
Yeah, on a 6-up. He just has an innate, or as most armies do, he ignores damage on 6s. With his command ability, all death units on the table reroll once to hit and save.
Yeah.
And it just becomes this. And within Petrifex Elite, because he does get that keyword, it becomes a 2-up save instead.
Really, he gets the +1. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
which is.
So what are the Osiarch Bone Reapers anyway? Did he create them, or what's the story about those guys?
If you want to dig into the lore side of things, the Osiarch Bone Reapers are his version of the Stormcast Eternals. Though they are much older than the Stormcast Eternals lore-wise.
Yeah, they're like these old souls.
They were created by him to just go out into the world and collect bones for him.
Okay.
Whether that, and usually through politics, but kind of shady politics, because and the Bone Reapers are also the only death units that have a mind of their own. They can think on their own. They can maneuver tactics around on their own. So they would often just go to a city and ask these horrendously impossible things of the city, like, we want 1,000 collarbones per day. Just hand them over.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll kill you. And if a city wouldn't be able to make true on that deal, that very one-sided deal, then they would just go in and just kill all of them.
And take their collarbone.
And take their
So
all of their
basically,
bones at that point.
we're saying we're going to kill you. It's just we're giving you like a day to adhere to this impossible task that we're giving you. But you're not going to do it anyway, and we know it.
Yeah. And after that, during what in lore-wise is called the Age of Myth, they got locked away by Sigmar, or they just became not very necessary within Shaiish.
Shaiish being the realm of death, I think. Is that right?
But now when Well, Sigmar locked away their Mortarch, their big leader, and so all of the Bone Reapers kind of went into a slumber.
Yeah.
And now the Bone Reapers have been woken up by Nagash. Their big leader, their Mortarch, Catacross, has been unleashed. And now the Bone Reapers are also finding themselves in a world of which they don't speak the language anymore.
Oh, okay.
For example,
Yeah.
they because they have the dialects and accents have changed so much that they are unable to communicate.
Yeah,
So they are now used as just this brute force hammer to conquer.
Very cool. So so they're like Nagash's version of the Stormcasts, and better.
Yeah,
from what I've seen.
Yeah, I would say rules-wise they are a bit better. Though I feel like the Stormcast has such a big collection of models.
Yeah, they are very versatile.
Yeah, that they can go
They're like
anywhere.
a Swiss knife.
Yeah, definitely.
They have something for every situation. Like they can shoot, they can fight, they have mortal wounds, they have spells.
Yeah.
They've got good defense, good offense. If they want to, they're very maneuverable. If they want to.
Especially on the spell department, they have this endless spell called the Everblaze Comet. And yesterday there was a game of Stormcast Eternals versus Cities of Sigmar, and that well-placed Everblaze Comet did 28 mortal wounds on its own.
Yeah.
Just by
because it's like the Comet of Cassandra type thing, right? This comet comes down, and then everything within a radius takes D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah, within 10 for all units for all enemy units, I believe, even or non-storm or Stormcast units, you roll within 10 inches. You roll a die. When it's cast, it like on a 1 or 2 it does 1 mortal wounds, on a 3 or 4 it does D3, on a 6 or 5 it does 3 flat.
Oh jeez, yeah.
So that's.
Is it hard to cast? Sounds like it's hard to cast.
It's surprisingly easy with a 6.
A 6, that's real easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like around that's like around a 65 to 70% chance of success, I believe.
Pretty much, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's real good. But then the thing with endless spells is like they're linked to the caster, right, or something like soul linked or something.
Yeah, that's with the Osiarch endless spells specifically. Those are because usually there are some endless spells are predatory.
Yeah, they move around.
Yeah, so they move around in between battle rounds.
Yeah.
And usually the player who goes second can move the first one.
Yeah.
But the Bone Reaper and the spells can only be moved by by the army they are cast from.
Yeah. All right. So that's another neat little trick that they have.
Yeah.
Very cool. So have you seen a lot of Stormcast Eternals here on the field?
I believe there are 2 Stormcast armies. Yeah. One of them is with the Vanguard Raptors, just putting them out there, shooting an army up. That was also the list that brought the Everblaze Comet. The other list was with a Star Drake, which
is like a big anti-horde dragon, right?
Yeah, it's a very dangerous dragon. I haven't seen much of that list personally yet, but it has been performing decently as far as I know. So it has been going pretty evenly. I feel like all of the players have brought their A game to this tournament.
Yeah, very cool.
And it's been minor mistakes on the battlefields or with dice that have just pushed pushed 1 or 2 players very hard.
Yeah. So, but we were talking about the top 3. So on first place, I reckon, is then Benjamin as of right now.
Yeah.
With his Bonesplitterz.
Yeah.
You said in the second place there's.
Well, Mitchell was second place.
Mitchell was second place, but he might be knocked down a bit now.
Yeah.
But then Osiarch Bone Reapers have been doing well, you say?
Yeah, those also have 4 wins, I believe. And from the what?
Oh, there goes the mic. Yeah.
I can check real quick.
We can go to Pen.
Yeah.
So standings. So at the end of the last round, Benjamin Sava was the top-ranking player. So that was actually the Benjamin for this game.
Yeah.
Also, he's the best in the Imperium. That can be right. Well, ignore that.
Then there's Mitchell. So the Mitchell of this game.
With Cities of Sigmar.
Yeah. So he was the second ranked player. So on third place we had Owen Jackson.
Yeah,
which
with
was bringing the Bone Reapers. So that's with let's see here. That's with a Nagash. So the rapid fire Mortal Wound output Nagash.
Yeah.
Leech Cavalos.
Yeah.
A battle line of 20 more tech guards, so those are the guards that get a 3-up save, and then they stand there and they also expend like a CP for reroll saves, I believe.
Yeah. The Osiarchs have their custom command point mechanic, so they usually have quite a lot of them, which they need, to be fair.
Then there are 10 more tech guard, another 10 more tech guard, and then 10 Cavalos Death Riders.
Yeah, which are their cavalry, fast, quite fast, very sturdy, also with a 3-up save in Petrifex.
Yeah.
3 wounds each, which is quite good.
Yeah. So in fourth place came Sylvanet.
It's been the surprise so far, because Sylvanet hasn't been doing quite well at tournaments so far.
Yeah.
But this player has really been able to use his Wildwoods to keep line of sight blocking, and has had the luck so far of going up against a lot of shooting lists. So so he wasn't so people weren't able to shoot at him because of the Wildwoods, and then he would just slowly maneuver up and start charging in.
Yeah. So the round's officially over, I believe. The time has run out, but Benjamin and Mitchell here were already done. So I think the final score was 16-6, but they had another turn.
Well, looking at the time, actually, I believe they almost have like a full hour left.
Oh, really?
Yeah, about 50 minutes left.
Wrong clock then. All right, so there's a full hour left. So they may finish up fairly quickly then.
Yeah. Well, I can go and collect their scores and tell you guys.
Please do.
So yeah, Benjamin absolutely murdered Mitchell. And the final score was 45 for Benjamin with 9 points for Mitchell.
Okay.
So that's a huge difference.
45. So he maxed out all his secondaries then.
Yeah, and he grabbed all of the objectives
so
the final
he's got
two
the ones
turns.
Oh man, yeah.
And that just racked up so many points that he was able to create such a distance.
But at that point, Mitchell couldn't do anything about it anyway. He had no models left. So yeah, the game, nothing he can do.
No.
Nope, the game was played. So, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the stream on hold. I'm going to turn it off and get it set up for the next one and get the top view camera working again.
Yep.
Give me let me know when the next round is up and
it will be after the
we'll go
big
to the
lunch
finale.
break.
We'll go into the finale. So put the top two players. We'll put the top two players on.
Yeah, which will be Benjamin again.
Yeah, well, but so be it.
Yeah.
But probably another player now. I think it won't be Mitchell again, but we'll see. So it'll probably either be the OCR Bone Reapers, or the Sylvanet, or the what else did we have? Well, depending on how they've done, of course. But so we had the Sylvanet, and then
the Osiarch.
Osiarch. And then, well, we'll see what we'll get.
Yeah, depending on how Wendy did and how the other guys did. Wendy possibly could have really went up. Her list is so mean. Flesh Eater Courts, 2 terror guys with Ghoul Kings on top, and a lot of flayers, so they just scream an army off the board. Something like the Bonesplitterz would have a big trouble with that because of their relatively low bravery.
That's a problem for them.
So
actually, if you get to see that matchup, that might be a very interesting game.
Yeah, it might be very interesting. The way when Wendy plays her Flesh Eater Courts, they are fast and they hit very hard. They might be a bit squishy, but that doesn't matter if there's nothing left standing of the opponent's army. So that could be a very, very interesting matchup.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to put the stream on hold a bit. We'll be back in about an hour then. There's lunch still. We have lunch still to go. So it's going to be around 1 o'clock? Next round?
Ik ga even bij de event kijken.
Yeah. We'll check it out. But let's have a quick look. In the meantime, we also have our doubles 40k event going on. So a lot of players have shown up. Lots of cool games going on. Double event here always tends to be a bit more, you know, on the casual side. People bringing a lot of cool armies.
I'm gonna grab a rules pack real quick.
Yeah, that's okay. So a lot of cool armies, you know, models that people normally don't tend to bring to a tournament because they might not be as competitive. But since the setting is more casual, well, the setting is more spread out. It's like definitely we've got players coming here to win and bringing like you know, hard armies. We've got the more casual people going on, just coming here to have a good time, try and win, but doesn't matter if they don't. Roll some dice, drink some beers, you know, get reacquainted with old friends as they meet each other once again on the battlefield here. So, stream's going on hold for a bit, guys. We'll see you guys in about an hour, I think. Oh, here we go.
1:15.
So 1:15. So we've got actually an hour, 1.5 hour left. All right. Well, so be it. So I'll put that in.
Amazing. Well, I'll see you back then.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
See you in about an hour, dude.
Yeah.
All right.
It's horrible. I never roll, I just want to roll like priorities. In bad games against 6. Yeah! Yeah, no, it was a nice game. I think we both played really tight. There was just like a little incident with the